Hello and welcome to Odds on Serie A Matchday 28. We still have a title race, Leo, because Napoli were able to get a draw against Inter, and next week also we have Inter-Atalanta, but 𝐿𝐴 again miss a great chance to get closer to the top of the table.
Yes, but you know what I was thinking of? My question to the start of the show is Juventus a title contender now? They're only 6 points behind the Inter, because once everyone started to lose points here and there in February, 5 consecutive wins for Juventus and no Champions League or Coppa Italia distraction for them. But yes, a good game. Napoli-Inter last weekend, little drama with equalizer at the end with Philip Billing, and the Serie A is amazing this season, to be honest.
I don't think they are a title contender, but you are right to make the point. The bookies give them 21 odds to win the Scudetto, and after seeing PSV, Arsenal, I guess Juventus fans are still hitting their heads against a door or against something to believe how they would get eliminated by PSV. Yeah, but this is live. Well, let's analyze everything we have in Italy. As you said, amazing season. So guys, press the like, subscribe. Let's go on now with the show. And the first game we are going to analyze is Cagliari-Genoa on Friday. Two teams that should stay one season more in Serie A. Cagliari is still in the battle, 3 points away from the relegation, lost to Bologna and to Juventus, and Genoa drew with Empoli and lost to Inter. So both of them, they are not in great form. And it should be a really balanced game, Leo, kind of the ones that we like to bet on a draw, I would say.
Yes, a draw, a goal under for this game, with Genoa that couldn't hold the lead against Bologna last weekend, playing a good first half, taking the lead with Roberto Piccoli, a great goal actually, because he picked the ball in the halfway line and he finished the move himself with a header inside the box. It was the second consecutive defeat for Cagliari after 3 games anyway, facing top 7 teams, because they play Atalanta, Juventus, Bologna, as you said, in a row. But 3 of the next 4 matches for Cagliari are with teams within their own league: Genoa, Monza, and Empoli. But they are anyway 3 points above relegation, and to play on Friday is a good opportunity for them to widen the gap with Empoli, especially, who are playing Roma on Sunday. At home is 2 wins in the last 4 for Cagliari. Cagliari is a team that they try to bite you and then they do retreat. But that is exactly the same what Genoa likes to do, although they are a little better balanced team, I would say, Patrick Vieira's Genoa. Their 1-1 with Empoli probably was not their best results in the last few games, but again, they show resilience to win points from behind in the last 10 minutes or less, something that we have discussed back in December, I remember. And they have done it again last weekend with Vasquez scoring 9 minutes before the end of the match. Genoa 9 points above the red zone, so I would say that with a win, they should be opening a bottle of champagne to celebrate another season in Serie A being guaranteed. They haven't won away in 2025, 3 defeats and 2 draws. Last 2 times on a row was 1-1 with Torino and a 1-0 defeat with Inter for Genoa. I don't expect, or I can see a goal feast here. That's why my take, Edu, is goals under 2.5, odds of 1.55.
Unfortunately, Leo, even if Genoa stays in Serie A, we are not going to see Derby de la Lanterna next season in Serie A, because Sampdoria are very poor. They are even fighting to avoid relegation. In Serie B, we are going to see back Sassuolo, that's for sure. And then
probably, yes.
Let's see which other teams are going up. Calcio como Venezia is the next one. 2 teams that want to stay in Serie A. Is going to be very difficult for Venezia. I told you, Leo, again, to back Venezia somehow when they are facing big teams. A draw against Atalanta, they never lose. by a big margin. They also lost to Lazio. They are going to go down, but still fighting and fighting and fighting. No goals scored in the last 4, though, for Venezia. But 𝐿𝐵𝐺𝐵, despite losing at the Olimpico, they are doing great. They took the lead. They beat Napoli. They beat Fiorentina. So the bookies are giving them odds like a big team. 1.6 only to win.
Absolutely, and probably has been the first time on the season that we have those odds so low on 𝐿𝐵𝐺𝐵. Yes, I did not listen to you last week, and probably now that they're gonna be back in Venezia, in a way, it won't be the time for them. But no, the great weekend for both, even despite on defeat for 𝐿𝐵𝐺𝐵, because they played a very good. The first 30 minutes of 𝐿𝐵𝐵 against Roma were very good. They dominated, they scored with 𝐶𝐞𝐭, and not many teams have dominated Roma at the Olimpico this season, especially since Claudio Ranieri took over. Everything changed, of course, when they went down to 10 men, 20 minutes into the second half, and that is maybe something that Fabregas needs to look with their team, the discipline, because they had already 5 red cards this season, and they are the third team with the most yellow so far, with 63. They will need extra patience on Saturday, because if there is something that Venezia has shown this season is their capacity to soak up the pressure. 0-0 with Atalanta was their second consecutive one after the 0-0 with Lazio, and even before that, Genoa needed to wait 85 minutes before they managed to find the back of the net. For 𝐿𝐵𝐵, Venezia is the start of a run that probably could make them feel once and for all to stay another season in Serie A, because they are now 6 points above Empoli, and 3 of the next 4 games for 𝐿𝐵𝐵 are against Venezia, Empoli, and Monza. And it's a testament, I would say, to the season that 𝐿𝐵𝐵 is having, that Scaloni have not only called Nico Pass, but also Massimo Perrone, who actually assisted 𝐷𝗀 against Roma. Venezia's point in Bergamo, even better value, because they managed to do it without Filip Stankovic in goal. His deputy, Eduardo, was formidable in goal. Safety, anyways, 5 points away. A run of 10 winless games, which continues with 5 defeats in that process. They need to start winning games. Will be this one? Well, I don't know. But even if they lose against 𝐿𝐵𝐵, I don't see it happening by big margins. My take here is Venezia Asian handicap +1, odds of 1.82.
Parma Torino is the next one, also very important for the relegation battle. Parma outside the bottom 3, despite the defeat against Udinese, but they beat Bologna at the Ennio Tardini in the last home game. 5 defeats in the last 6 games for Parma. Though Torino, mid-table, good form, is only 1 defeat in the last 10, so good value to back Torino somehow here, Leo, I would say.
Yes, absolutely, Edu. And look, I was expecting the odds on Torino to be good, but probably between 1.8 and 2. But this 𝐿𝐵𝐴 of 2.5 is better than I thought, to be honest. And for Parma, it was crucial, the win you mentioned 2 weeks ago, that win against Bologna, because those 3 points are still very important to Parma, because that is the reason why they are still out of the red zone, even after they lost on Matchday 27 on their visit to Udine. They haven't won consecutive games all season, something that Torino have just done for the second time after the win against Milan at home and Monza away. The previous time, anyway, was in August for Torino at the start of the season. Parma was close to an equalizer at the end of the game, but it was very little from 𝐭𝐵𝐵's team, a performance that did not resemble at all what we have seen a week before. Torino completely the opposite. They done the job they needed to do against the Serie B bound Monza. We had the first goal in Serie A of Cesare Casadei, the defensive midfielder that arrived from Chelsea this winter. Since losing 4 consecutive matches away from home in October, November, Torino have only lost now 1 of them, 1 in the last 7 on the road, with 2 wins in that run. As I said, the odds are very good on Torino, and that's my take. Torino to win 2.5.
Very good. Even if you go for Asian handicap 0, for instance, for Torino around 2, would be very, very good. Lecce Milan is the next one. Milan in big crisis, 3 consecutive defeats since the exit in the Champions League. So really far away from the European spots. I guess all the hype, Leo, with 𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐳, with João Felix, with Santi Jimenez, is gone. Lost to Lazio, lost to Bologna and Torino. Let's see if they are able to take the 3 points from the Via del Mare from Lecce.
Edu, yes, it's a drama for Milan at the moment after those 3 consecutive defeats. A very important one actually before last weekend against Bologna away, to make a parallel, I would say, taking into account the huge history of the club, the current context of having changed manager during the season, to see nothing changing or getting even worse, judging by the fact that they won't make it to the Champions League next season. This team is like the Manchester United of the Serie A. Probably the only difference being that they are being led by owners who have a little bit more idea of what they're doing than in Manchester United. 𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐳's time gets by week by week, it's getting shorter and shorter. We will see what's going to happen with him, but we cannot only blame the manager. Players should take responsibility. There is no urgency, no rebellion from them. When you look at the penalty on Isaacsen, and I'm not talking here if it was a penalty or not on Lecce's player, my point is that Milan players are strolling back to their own half. That cannot happen. You will go mad with your teammates even on a Sunday league match. The funny thing is that because on the other side we have Lecce, I would still believe that this Milan could click at some point. The good news for the Rossoneri is that Rangers have extended his contract. Lecce 5 without winning at home with 3 defeats. They had another goalless match, 4 in a row without scoring, and 5 in the last 6. However, they are out of the red zone by 3 points. Do I think Milan should win this game? Yes. Do I think Lecce can score? Not really. And with those 2 things in mind, Edu, Milan to win 2-0, 3.1.
Next game, the other team in the city, Inter playing against Monza. Inter, this game is tricky. It's coming in the middle of the Champions League tie, although it should be an easy one, I guess, against Monza. They had very close the Scudetto title, I would say, or the Scudetto, after scoring first. What a screamer from 𝐷i_Marco, but they are struggling in the second half. A lot of points are slipping away from Inter hands in the second half. Perhaps, Leo, they don't have a really deep squad this season. That's the problem.
Yes, and it's strange how they've been losing points in second half this season. I mean, they can be forgiven but it happened against Napoli. But we have seen this many times, even against Juventus, in a game which they were winning at the beginning of the season 4-2, and it's finished 4-4. But now, playing Monza at home, I think, even though the things that you are pointing at, which we thought maybe a little bit different before, of having a deep squad and they could easily rotate, there are some games in which we see, and I think we talked about this a few weeks ago, that no, they need to stick with the best 11, because some of the rotations they are having are not at the same level so far this season. But of course, to have Monza in front of you changes everything. Monza's player, manager and the staff are counting the days for the holidays, and by July they will start focusing on pre-season and the idea of returning quickly to Serie A in 2026. But again, yes, for Inter, very painful to lose 2 points with Napoli, but they're still on top of the Serie A, and even they could make themselves a little bit more comfortable, because yes, now Monza, next week Atalanta, but after that they have Udinese, Parma and Cagliari. So if others start to lose, keep losing some points there at the top, Inter maybe could start widening a gap. At home is 10 without defeats for Inter, Edu, 7 wins in that process. Negative for the Nerazzurri, and I will link that to what you are saying. They have not won any of their matches against Napoli, Juventus, and Milan this season. And that is the first time that something like this happened in 10 years or so in Serie A. But again, they having the Serie B bound Monza. That's what my take here is Inter Asian handicap -2, odds of 1.7.
To back Monza is impossible. 17 defeats this season. It looked like a very interesting project to stay in Serie A many years, and perhaps even look into European spots, but they are going down. Well, games on Sunday, Verona, Bologna. Verona 3 points away from the relegation spots. Lost to Juve, lost to Atalanta, very difficult to trust, and Bologna is the opposite. No defeats in 2025. It's true that they drew with Lecce, but looking at the European spots, actually they are 6 right now, and with chances to catch Juventus, I would say, in the 4th spot.
Yes, Edu. 3 wins in the last 4, and I think the 3 points against Milan a week ago have cemented that this team is competing for Champions League spots with Lazio and Juventus. Even if Vincenzo Italiano had said that he will be happy with any of the 3 European competitions, 5 points behind now Juve, but they could be level with Lazio on 4th position on Sunday early afternoon if they take all points against Verona. We spoke of Riccardo Rossellini last show. He scored a brace to win from behind and reach 9 goals this Serie A. This week we had Santi Castro and Benja Dominguez called by Scaloni. It's not the first time that Bologna won from behind this season. They have done it actually twice in the last few days, because with Milan it was the same. Nobody has won more points from losing positions in Serie A this season than Bologna, 16 points. That is massive, but at the same time, you cannot appeal for heroics too often. They also have a semi-final of Coppa Italia coming to play soon against Empoli. So these are like sweet days for the Rossoblu. Verona did put on a fight in Turin, only conceding the second goal on added time. It was the 3rd defeat in the last 4. 17 defeats this season anyway, the same that you mentioned about Monza. But Verona is 4 points above the danger. Bologna arrives in 6 to these games, and when you look at Verona's results at home against the current top 5, the Rossoblu should get confident. Lazio won there 3-0 last month. Atalanta won there 5-0 this month. Inter 5-0 in December. No one conceded more at home than Verona, 30 goals so far. However, last home game it was a 1-0 win against Fiorentina, who is now in 7th. My take for this Verona-Bologna, goals over 2.5, odds of 2.3, Edu.
Only 2 draws for Verona in the season. That's why they have this amount of defeats. And great season for Bologna after losing Mota with Vincenzo Italiano, leaving the Champions League and still fighting for the European spots with that semi-finals in Coppa Italia. Very likely that they are going to play the final at the Olympicos. So it's been a great ride for the Rossoblu, as you are saying. Super Sunday in Italy, Napoli-Fiorentina, 2nd against the 7th. Napoli struggling in Serie A, no wins in the last 5 with 4 draws and conceding goals in every game. Both teams to score in all these 5 games. So very shaky. At least they got a point against Inter to keep up with the race and not be very pessimistic. And Fiorentina are not in a great moment, Leo, and they are also focused in the conference. They are playing Panathinaikos there, and this could suck them some energy.
Yes, absolutely. We have to see how that pans out for Fiorentina, playing as well Conference League tomorrow on Thursday night, and then they're going to have to travel to the Diego Armando Maradona. At least for Napoli, the crazy run of fixture is almost over. The last weekend was a massive point for them, massive goal for Philip Billing, his first one in Serie A. I'm not putting Fiorentina in the same category that Inter, of course not, but they're still a top 7 team. They haven't won a game in February, Napoli, but in the last 6 weeks they have played Atalanta, Juventus, Lazio, Roma and Inter. 9 points from 15 collected, and the top of the table only 1 point away. So they have to be feeling good, Edu, to be honest. I mean, Conte is building a strong team, immense intensity, especially we saw that in the second half. Players being shifting around and still delivering for him. He's doing it without 𝗀𝗵𝐿, and he also managed that situation very well. Let's not forget that he didn't allow the club or the squad to have another 𝐜𝐭𝐚𝐲 situation. One of the issues for Napoli, I say, is that they're scoring, is who's scoring apart from Lukaku, 𝗍𝗏𝗏 or Sambuanguisa. They are the second best defense in the Serie A. They conceded 22, 1 goal more only than Juve, but Napoli is the 5th best attacking side behind Inter, Atalanta, Juventus and Lazio. Roma, who is sitting 8th, for example, is just 1 goal shy from Napoli. At least Fiorentina, on the other hand, went back to winning ways against Lecce. They scored early. They had a chance for the second one, but Lucas Beltran, the Argentinian, missed the penalty. Away from home is 3 defeats in the last 4 for La Viola. Probably on Sunday will be the return of 𝗍𝗏𝗀 after he was given the medical clear out to return to competitive activity after his concussion. 7 consecutive games with both teams to score in Napoli's matches, and I'm taking that route, Edu. Might take both teams to score, yes, odds of 2.1.
Okay, Leo, we continue and we go to Tuscany. Empoli Roma is the next game. Roma also focusing their European games on Thursday, playing Athletic, and great number, 6 wins and 1 draw in the last games. No defeat since the 18th of December, now closer to the European spots. Even 𝗍𝗏𝗏 is scoring important goals, and Empoli in relegation, at least catching that draw against Genoa, and with the hype also of the Coppa qualifications to the semifinals.
Yes, which is, I think, something that they're going to be looking for until the end of the season, because they never reached the semi-final of a Coppa Italia in their history, Empoli, but struggling with relegation at the moment in Serie A. We spoke a bit about Roma on Europa League show. We will see how they do tonight or tomorrow night with Athletic Bilbao. We will see how physically they are for Sunday, in which they are massive favorites, of course, but they are playing the toughest tie in the Europa League, last 16. Last weekend they struggled a little bit in the first half with 𝐭𝐿𝐴, but in the second half they took full advantage of 𝐭𝐿𝐴 being down to 10 men 15 minutes after the break, and actually they scored 5 minutes after that red card for Fabregas' team. It's 5 wins, you said, and a draw in the last 6 for them. No defeat since December in Serie A. Claudio Ranieri has done it again. Empoli at least stopping the bleeding with that draw against Genoa after 4 consecutive defeats. 12 games without winning, still in relegation zone. At home is 5 defeats in the last 6, and they conceded 7 goals in the last 2 games with Milan and Inter. The odds for Roma, that is also winning away now, 3 consecutive wins in that condition for Roma, are great for me. Might take Roma to win 2.05.
And another great game, and perhaps to see if Juve can challenge the Scudetto. Atalanta. Juve beat Verona, as you mentioned before, after the defeats in Coppa and in the Champions League, but with good numbers in Serie A. Atalanta missed another great chance with the unexpected draw against Venezia. They also drew recently with Cagliari, and they have a very difficult schedule. Leo, I was checking, they have Juve, Inter, Fiorentina, Lazio and Bologna. Wow.
That's pretty tough, comparable to what Napoli has had in February or in the last 6 weeks. And that is the question that I was thinking, to be honest, in the weekend or after Monday with Juventus winning, Edu, because if they are or not, I don't think so. But at the end, when you look at the table and the points gap, it's not massive, and it's 6 points. 5 consecutive wins for Juventus. In that same period, Inter 8 points, Napoli 4 points, and Atalanta 9 points. And that explains how they managed to recover a lot of ground in the last month or so. Although watching PSV Arsenal last night, I can understand, and I agree with what you were saying at the beginning of the show. Juventus supporters are asking themselves, how on earth that team kick us out of the competition? It's just unbelievable. It's just crazy. And it's crazy that the fans were booing Juventus player at the start of the game, but at the end everyone was clapping and wondering if, as I was just saying, they should have been up anyway in the first half. They have many chances to score against Verona. They could have even almost gone to halftime losing 1-0, but the VAR ruled Verona's goal out. Khéphren Thuram opening the gate in the second half. Actually, Khéphren Thuram has more goals than his brother Marcus Thuram in 2025, so he can tease his brother for sure. Atalanta losing a massive opportunity to catch Napoli in second place. It's been three consecutive home draws for them and scoring just one in that run. Atalanta, it was in the 1-1 with Torino. Then they had 2 consecutive 0-0, Cagliari and Venezia. The first half, to be honest, it should have finished 3 or 4-0 for Atalanta, but that's the reality. We had already few games this season with that feeling, and Atalanta ended up in the end dropping points. The second half wasn't good enough, almost as if during halftime they thought it's not going to happen, it's not our afternoon, we are not being lucky today. Lookman had a sitter in probably the only big chance I had in the second half, but he couldn't score. Going back to that question, is Juventus going to fight for the title or not? Much of that answer, I would say, is going to lay in what happened in this game between Juventus and Atalanta. I expect goals here. Both teams to score. Yes, my takes, that has odds of 1.75.
Very difficult to go for 1x2 for that game. And the last one on Monday, we have Lazio Udinese. Lazio also playing in the Europa League. Victoria Pilsen and doing a great season. Beat Milan away. Pedro is still decisive, scoring the winner. 3 wins and 2 draws in the last 5 Serie A games. But also Udinese are in great form. And this time, Leo, correct me if I'm wrong, but they didn't fight for the penalty against Parma. One took it and scored it. So 3 consecutive wins to 0 for Udinese, 4 wins and 1 draw. Be careful with this game for Lazio.
Yes, absolutely, Edu. And to be honest, talking about penalties and fights to take penalties, I was expecting something like that with Lazio when they needed to score or to take the penalty in the 98th minute against Milan, but nothing of that happened. Everyone knew that Pedro was the one to take it, and he made it 2-1. Third win in the last 5 for Lazio with 2 draws, 6 goals this area for Pedro. Lazio in the end smiled big time in San Siro, but it was a deserved win, even though it happened just in the dying moments of the game. Lazio had 17 shots on target. Probably a more mature team would have put the game to sleep much earlier. Milan got down to 10 men, and in that moment Lazio took the foot out of the gas, and it seemed to me that that's why they created their own problems in that second half. I like what Baroni said after the game, that this team, his team, should not be conservative, that they should always be attacking, because that's what's going to bring them results. Easier said than done, but refreshing to hear from Lazio's manager. They have a trip back and forth to the Czech Republic, and also the added pressure of knowing everyone else's result on Monday night. Lazio could potentially start the match 5 points behind Juventus, and with Bologna already level on points with them. They will face this Friulian side in great form, having won 3 consecutive matches for the second time this season. The first time was in August for Udinese, when they were top of the league. They won 4 of the last 5. The other one was a draw with Napoli and also away. They arrive as well to this game with 3 consecutive clean sheets. For a team that went to the Diego Armando Maradona and played with great personality, I like the double chance odds, Edu. That's why my take is double chance Udinese, odds of 2.05.
Going for a surprise for an informed team. Let's see. Also with Lazio involved in the Europa League and 2 points away only from Juventus. Well, guys, this is it for Serie A Matchday 28. Remember that you can post your tips in Oddspedia and participate in our tipster competitions to win some money, or also play in Rivals and create your own tipster competitions with your friends. Leo, let's finish the video as always. Safe bet.
Inter Monza first half goals over 0.5. We need 1 goal, odds of 1.29.
And the ACCA?
The ACCA includes that safe bet. Inter Monza first half goals over 0.5. Milan to win. Juventus Atalanta both teams to score yes. All these 3 odds of 3.95. Edu.
Thank you, Leo. Thanks everyone for watching. See you soon. Bye bye.